Hey, this is Nikki G and welcome to Better Commander. Today we ask the burning question, are these 40k singles worth their price to make your commander decks better? Fine folk of the 41st millennium, I come to you on bended knee. Subscribeth to my channel, leaveth a like, for thine help is thusly appreciated. Today we ponder the age-old question, should I buy these singles? How much is too much? Are these cards worth the price to make my commander decks better? And that's Better Commander, dude. I should say I have no problem mixing chain swords with great swords. I'm more mechanically minded. All my decks mix planes. We got elves from Chandalar, we got elves from Skemfar, we got goblins from Dominaria and turtles in my Terraria. Anyway, I don't have any immersion issues, but if you do, I can see you not getting these for any of your decks, and that's fine too. I'm going to ignore most of the legendary creatures. I've already done videos on the ones that interest me, and if you're putting one at the helm of your commander deck, then it's worth it to buy the card, full stop. Some of the legends are better than the 99, so I might just make a note about them, but you know what? There's no rules here, brother. Just commander talk, big dog. I'll chat up a card if I want it, and you know what? The comment section is a free speech zone too. If you disagree with something or have something to say, feel free. Alright, let's hop right into it. First up, we got Vexilus Praetor. It's 3 and a white for a creature Custodes Warrior. It's a 3/4 with Flash and Vigilance. Has Aegis of the Emperor. Commanders you control have protection from everything. If you're playing a commander deck in white and your commander is integral to your game plan, this is a card to consider. It's currently sitting at 15 bucks. That's a hefty price to pay. I don't think I would buy it at that price unless it was really a centerpiece of my deck and I had some way to tutor it out. If this was $6 to $7, I think I'd probably be in. Overall, this is a fantastic card. Next up, we have Shadow in the Warp, 1 red and a green for an enchantment. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast, whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn. Shadow in the Warp deals 2 damage to that player. Currently 9 bucks. This is a great enchantment in a creature-based deck. I love it for Xenagos, Rurik Thar, and so many others. $9 was pushing it, I think. $6 would probably be the sweet spot for this guy. Alright, next up we have Triumph of St. Catherine, 4 and a white for a creature human warrior. It's a 5/5 with lifelink. Has Presidium Protectiva. When it dies, exile it in the top 6 cards of your library in a face down pile. If you do, shuffle that pile and put it back on top of your library. Has Miracle for 1 and a white. This is $5.50. It's such a weird clunky card. I don't think I'd play this in anything, but I can see it in a scry top deck manipulation deck like Amanatu or Elminster. Even then, it's a 5/5 with lifelink for 2. For all the hoops you need to jump through, is that good? It's like 50 cent good in my humble opinion. And we got this weirdo, Biophagus. It's 1 and a green for a creature, human Tyrannid Wizard. Has Genomic Enhancement. Tap. Add 1 mana of any color. If this mana is spent to cast a creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. This is $4 or so. This is the best mana dork for an Atraxa deck or any deck that needs to get counters on creatures. I think it's definitely worth $4. I bought 2. Because I always want this effect. Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch, 2 and a blue and a red for a creature demon, 2/4. Sorcerer's Inspiration. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Also has Fires of Tzeentch. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. $4. This is pretty cool. The idea of getting something random turns people off, but think of it this way. You put the card in your deck, you wanted it there, you already cast it, why don't you just take it? Be happy. This guy's a little situational, but I like it fine in a spells deck. Maybe not $4 fine though. Then we got the Reaver Titan, yeah. 7 generic mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 10/10. Has Void Shields. Protection from mana value 3 or less. Also has Gatling Blaster. Whenever it attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent. Crew 4. This is $3 and change for this bad boy. It's hard to block due to protection from mana value 3 or less, dodges the most efficient removal in the game, and just blasts through for damage on attack. This is a cool Timmy card, I like it. Sure, it's worth $3. The Ruinous Powers, 2 black and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose an opponent at random. Exile the top card of that player's library. Until the end of turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. When you cast a spell this way, its owner loses life equal to its mana value. $2.70. This is really good in any deck that wants to play cards from exile, Prosper, or any background commander using Passionate Archaeologist. Yeah man, $2.70 seems pretty fair for this. Keeper of Secrets, 5 and a red for a creature demon. First strike haste, it's a 6/4. It also looks like an amalgam of all my ex-girlfriends. Has Symphony of Pain. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. Sexy Demon is $1 right now, and this is great also for Prosper, Cascade decks, including Abaddon and Yidris. This counts casting a spell from the command zone as well. Cool card, definitely worth $1. Calidus Assassin, 4 blue and a black for a creature, human shapeshifter assassin. It's a 3/3 with flash. You can have it enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy up to one other target creature with the same name as this creature. This is very pricey for a clone effect, but it is interesting for a clone effect with a kill spell attached. Plus it has flash. This has a home in a couple decks. It's $125. Ah, the flavor. Winged Hive Tyrant. I'm a huge fan of this card. 3 blue and a red for a creature Tyranid. It's a 4/4 with flying and haste. Has Will of the Hive Mind. Other creatures you control with counters on them have flying and haste. Oh my god, dude, this is 50 cents. This has a great stat block, great abilities. If you have a counters deck in these colors, pick one up. Animar would love this little fella. Blood for the Blood God! 8 black and a red for an instant. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. Discard your hand, then draw 8 cards. Deals 8 damage to each opponent and then exile it. This is a masterpiece in Aristocrat's deck. Any deck where you're playing Rakdos board wipes or looping dying creatures. The ceiling on this is a 3-mana super wheel. That's really good. Would I buy it for $15? No. I would pay $5 max for this. It's so situational. That isn't to say that it isn't a really good card. I might just be a cheap old guy. It's crazy to go from Blood for the Blood God into Celestine the Living Saint. 4 and a white for a legendary creature, human warrior. It's a 3/4 with flying and lifelink. Has Healing Tears. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. This is a great build around. I'm thinking of putting in the 99 of a few decks, so I'll chat about it here. This is currently $9, and I would not pay that, but it's great in a life gain deck or any deck where we're sacrificing small creatures for value. She doesn't have to attack. It's just an end step trigger that goes off the turn you cast her. It's really good. If you need this effect or are building a commander deck around her, then $9 is fine, but I wouldn't pay more than $5 or so. Toxic Green, 3 and a green for a creature Tyranid. It's a 2/4 with reach and death touch. Has Hyper Toxic Miasma. All lands have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and lose all other abilities. This is $5 and change currently. This is an interesting effect. You're fixing all the mana for everyone and screwing your friends out of their Gaia's Cradles and their bounce lands, Azorius Chancery and the like. I immediately thought of Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which is $18, and this is substantially not as good. I think this is a little pricey for the effect, maybe $3 I'd pay, but this is a really interesting card. Old One-Eye, 5 and a green for a legendary creature Tyranid. It's a 6/6 with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. When it enters the battlefield, create a 5/5 green Tyranid creature token. Has fast healing. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, return Old One-Eye from your graveyard to your hand. $4. In a creature-based deck, this is 6 mana for 11 power, and the added bonus of granting all your creatures trample. I love this thing for $4. Tombed Fortress, it's a land. It enters the battlefield tap. Has tap, add black. 2 black, tap, exile it, mill 4 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This is $4. The opportunity cost is very low on this. It's very similar to Port of Carfell. Costs 1 less to activate and can go in mono black. I'm torn on this. $4 seems cheap, but I'm a little hesitant. Assault Intercessor, 1 white and a black for a creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 3/2 with first strike and menace. Has Chainsword. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. I guess because your Chainsword and all their brain bits on them. It's currently a little under $3. I think this is a great card. 3/2 with first strike and menace for 3 mana. Okay, it's alright right there. But this can be a finisher if you wipe the board and your opponents have a decent board state. It's definitely worth $3. Let me tell you all about a Thunderhawk Gunship, my friend. It's 6 generic mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 6/6 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create 2/2 white Astartes Warrior creature tokens with vigilance. Whenever it attacks, attacking creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. Has Crow 2. This is another sweet battle cruiser card that goes great in go wide decks. I won't go nutso here talking about it, but it's an awesome card for $2. The art on this card reminds me in an uncomfortable way of Catholic school. This is the Sister Hospitaller. She's 4 white and a black for a creature, human cleric. It's a 3/2. Has Medicus Ministorum. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its mana value. This is $1.50. This is not an awesome card in general, but I'm always on the lookout for effects like this. I still play Phyrexian Delver in a bunch of decks. It's got relevant creature types, it has a niche somewhere. Great pickup for $1.50 in my humble opinion. And you got the old Malinthorpe. I might have gone to high school with this fella as well. It's 1 green and a blue for a creature Tyrannid, 2/2 with flying. Has Scavenge the Dead. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Malinthorpe for each creature card exiled this way. This is 80 cents for Flying Grave Hate and a +1 counter deck. This is really good, in my opinion, for 80 cents. Company Commander, 2 white and a black for a creature, human soldier, it's a 2/4, has command section. When Company Commander enters the battlefield, create a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. Also has Bring It Down. Whenever Company Commander attacks, creatures you control gain Death Touch until the end of turn. This is a really cool card for 35 cents, man. This goes great in token decks and Aristocrat decks. I'm a big fan of this. Bloodthirster, this is Khorne's big baddie. 5 and a red for a creature demon, it's a 6/6 with flying and trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap it. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. Bloodthirster can attack a player that has already attacked this turn. I don't think this is as good as people think. It's sitting at 12 bucks. You can only untap it for your extra combat. It has to attack a different player in the next combat. That being said, I saw this going for 6 bucks and I bought a copy. Stats alone, a 6/6 with flamp for 5 and 1 red pip is a really good card. This is a house, very aggressive, very good, but I ain't buying it for 12 bucks. Biotransference, a lot of hay has been made about this card. It's 2 black for an enchantment. Creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token. This is currently 6 bucks and change. Really unique effect. Note that it only affects creatures. This pays off on so many cards, and if you're running an artifact deck in black, I think it's definitely worth 6 bucks. Out of the Tombs is 2 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 Eon counters on Out of the Tombs, then mill cards equal to the number of Eon counters on it. If you would draw a card where your library has no cards in it, instead you return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you can't, you lose the game. 4 bucks. In a self-milled deck, if the game goes 8 turns and you get this out on turn 3, then it milled 42 cards. If my math is correct, I don't know if it is. It's unlikely you're milling yourself out with this. Most games don't go that long. Yeah, dude, 4 bucks is fair for this. I like living dangerously. And we got the old Sanguinary Priest, 3 and a black for a creature, Astartes Cleric. It's a 2/4 with lifelink. Has Blood Chalice. Whenever another creature you control dies, Sanguinary Priest deals 1 damage to any target. 4 bucks for a redundant Blood Artist type of effect, albeit only for your creatures. The interesting wrinkle with this guy is that it has lifelink and is a little bigger. I would pay 2 bucks for this, although I am a fan. Alright, next up we got the Lord of Change, 6 and a blue for a creature, demon 6/6 with flying and ward 3. Has Architect of Deception. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. 350 for this guy. I love this card. I love the art. It's a battle cruiser Timmy kind of card. Ward 3 makes this a little better. I want to copy this in, say, an Orvar deck. I often lean on Sphinx of Uthun, and this is a bit of an upgrade in my opinion. 350 seems fine for this. We got the old Daddy Deathmark, 3 black for an artifact creature, Necron. It's a 5/3 with flash. Has Synaptic Disintegrator. Dude, don't disintegrate my synapses. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills 3 cards. I would play this in a blink deck, a self-milled deck, or a straight mill deck. $2.80, I love it. Tyrannid Prime, 1 green and a blue for a creature Tyrannid. It's a 0/4 with Evolve. Synapse creature, other creatures you control have evolve. I've always loved the evolve mechanic. In a +1 counters deck, any Simic deck that uses hardened scales loves this card. You can't beat it for $1. Canoptech Spider is 5 generic mana for an artifact creature spider. It's a 4/4 with flying. Has Fabricator Claw Array. Whenever another non-token artifact creature or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This is so good in so many decks. It's a tad expensive at 5 mana, but this is a great card in any deck with a critical mass of artifacts. Saheeli loves this, Joyra loves this, Brutaclad loves this. This is a steal at $1.32. Alright, then we got Primaris Eliminator, 4 and a black for a creature, Astartes Warrior. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. You have your Executioner rounds, destroy target creature. You got your Hyperfang rounds. Creatures target player controls get -2/-2 until end of turn. I'm a big fan of this guy. There are a bunch of creatures that destroy a creature on ETB, but only a few that have a mini board wipe attached, similar to Massacre Worm. There are even fewer that can be either, and it's 68 cents. Heck yeah, dude, this is pretty good for that price. Pick up a copy. What do you got to lose? 68 cents? Chaos Mutation, 3 blue and a red for an instant. Exile any number of target creatures controlled by different players. For each creature exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield, then puts the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. This guy's 40 cents, it's like a big old chaos warp. This is inherently a little chaotic and dangerous, but I would use this in a polymorph deck for sure. I'm always on the lookout for those types of effects. Lastly, we have Sangor Shaman, 2 blue and a red for a creature, mutant shaman. It's a 3/3 with flying, has sorceress elixir. It's just drinking the perp drank. Whenever Sangor Shaman deals combat damage to a player, copy the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn. When you cast it, you may choose new targets for the copy. This thing's 35 cents. It can be pretty good in a Spellslinger deck. Has flying so it can attack safely pretty often. It's an interesting card. That was a long video, probably nobody's watching at this point, but I think people kind of got a little bent out of shape when it came to these decks. The prices got really whacked out, and the whole decks are currently going for a good deal higher than I think is reasonable. But for some reason, the singles appear to be reasonably priced. So if you're like me, just build decks to have fun times with your bros, then some of these cards may be of use to you. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments. This is Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.